I was removed from my biological parents when I was 18 months old. Very heartbreaking, not understanding why they didn't want me.
Just because you can have a kid doesn't mean you're going to be a parent.
Yeah, you can make a change.
Yeah,
you break that
cycle. Like if she
is-
found out she couldn't have children,
Yes.
but her partner could.
I'll carry it for you.
You would, thank you.
Yeah.
You would.
Just saying. I have a great news.
Kia ora, hello.
Ora, hello.
Welcome to NOIS.
NOIS.
No one is safe.
And no topic, as we all know, is safe. Our topic today is on adopted, my life and my story.
Yes.
And what's really, really important and interesting about this topic is that it's really not something that people talk about a lot. It's quite a process, especially not just from the child being adopted, but from the situation that they have to go through. It's quite an interesting and obviously very complex topic. But I'm glad that we are able to have a moment to shed some light with a bit of help.
With our very special guest. We have a guest today, Lisa.
Hello.
Lisa.
Hello.
Lisa is brave enough to share her story with us today. Lisa is an adopted child.
Yes.
And she has a very unique story, which when I first heard it, to be honest, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this needs to be shared.
To be told.
Because I think it's really important to be that person, the glass half full person.
Yeah.
You got anything to add, Lisa?
Anything to add? Hi, I'm
Well,
Lisa.
like, don't know who you are, girl.
Who am I? I'm Lisa. I originate from Rotorua.
Rotorua.
You
Rotorua.
like to roll your R's, don't you?
You do.
Tonye?
I do.
Moved to Tauranga for a few years and then,
Now in H-Town.
H-Town, the Tron.
So I actually was lucky enough to meet Lisa through work recently. We crossed paths and gelled quite quickly.
Very quickly.
Very
So
quickly.
very, very happy to have Lisa on our show today. I've got a question for you, Lisa. We'll just kick it off straight away.
Let's
We'll
just delve right in.
delve
Yeah.
right in. So how old were you when you found out that you were adopted?
Yeah. So it was never hidden from me from, when I was a child. It was never kept secret or something we wouldn't discuss as a family. But yeah, I was removed from my biological parents when I was 18 months old.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, a year and a half old, so quite young. And it was myself and my three older siblings. So all four of us were uplifted at the one time, which is quite a big thing.
It's a big deal.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, for an entire family.
Yeah.
Children to be uplifted at once. So
Yeah.
very quickly found our adoptive mother.
So you were in this temporary foster
Yeah.
care,
Yeah.
all of you all together at
Yes.
once,
Yeah.
in the same temporary,
Yeah.
and then they
And
found
then-
a forever home
Yes.
for you.
Yeah, which was really, really cool. So we were there from, all I can remember is my adoptive mother. But we weren't adopted till I was 7 years of age.
So
Wow.
officially,
So-
like
So how long were you with your...
As far back as
Like
I can remember, so
5 years or something
yeah.
before, because it's quite a process, right? Like it's not
quite
just
a
like
long, drawn out process.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think because my biological parents were still involved, like we had access visits with them that were supervised up until the point that I was adopted at 7. A little bit of like a complicated story, I guess.
would
Like
be,
yeah.
yeah.
So my birth parents were very much around until
Like
I
on the
was 7.
peripheries.
Yeah, always there. So yeah, we would have access visits to go see them and
at their home, or was
Yeah.
it like
at their home.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was at their home with our social worker. She was always had to be present and whatnot. There was definitely like a few times I remember my adoptive mum during that period where she was our foster mum, not our adoptive mum yet. Where she would get us kids ready because we'd go see mum and dad, So get us ready for that, and then our social worker would come pick us up and take us there to see my birth parents. And my birth parents sometimes just wouldn't be there.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we didn't know that. Like,
Yeah.
we were obviously excited to see them.
See them, like,
Yeah,
this is on
yeah,
a planned
so-
trip.
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being so young, I didn't understand what the adults were talking about, I guess, and the bigger picture. So very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Coming back home, always in tears, not understanding why they didn't want me. That was the question.
So your
I would
oldest siblings, all boys.
have one sister.
One
yeah,
sister.
One sister, two boys. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
2 girls, 2 boys.
Yeah.
And would you catch vibes from them, like being the youngest, like
yeah.
probably the least understanding, not really,
Yeah.
all you knew was you were going to visit your birth parents.
Yeah.
They're not there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You're upset because you're like, oh, well, I
Yeah.
thought that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Maybe they...
That's what I'm getting dressed up for.
Yeah.
Like we've been getting ready all morning.
Yeah.
Like that
ready
they are
for-
welcoming us.
Yes.
And they're excited to see us. And then you get there and they're not there.
Not there. Yeah.
Do you think your older siblings, though, understood
Yeah,
more because they were older?
definitely. Yeah, so there's 6 years between me and the next youngest.
Wow.
So quite a
gap.
big gap. And then the sister, she's I think 8 years older than me. And then the oldest brother, he's 9-10 years older than me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our oldest brother, he wasn't adopted with us, so he didn't live in the foster home.
Oh,
So
okay.
he would run away from the foster homes
Really?
and go to my nana's house, like
Yeah.
our biological nana's house. We had nothing to do with him, so I never saw him, never grew up with him,
Wow.
had no relationship at all. Yeah, unfortunately, our biological parents weren't good parents at all. They're not very good people
Yeah.
at all. They're probably the 2 worst people I
No.
actually know,
Yeah.
which is
Like,
crazy.
It's and that's real, girl.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I feel everybody expects, like, just because you can have a kid doesn't mean you're gonna be a parent.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're gonna be a good parent.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
And I think the older I got, I was definitely sheltered a lot because I was so young.
100%. I think the youngest is always a lot more sheltered from whatever is going on.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
even the siblings would be trying to
Helping
protect
to
you.
protect you
They
as
have
well.
protection
Yes,
thing, right?
very much so,
And
yeah.
there's, I think that's really admirable.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of the times, and I know, like, I would look at it when I was growing up with 4 brothers. It's like,
Yeah.
you know how there's always a favorite,
Always.
and you always know that there is. And I feel, especially being the baby, it's like it's gonna be easier to sway my baby
Definitely.
than the 4-year-old and the 7-year-old and 9-year-old, because they would have they would have had opinions already,
Yeah.
and they know what's
Definitely.
going on. They have already been changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, oh my god, this is our gem.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we can
Mold and
help her.
help.
Yeah.
She will not have to be this.
Yes.
Yeah.
She will not, as much as they would love all of them
definitely.
and try, but they're like,
Yeah.
okay, we can make sure she
Yeah.
does not have to ever
Yeah.
know
If we get
that.
an opportunity, right, to get
Yeah.
something right
Yeah.
Yeah,
in some
this
way,
is it.
Yeah.
shape or form.
Yeah. So I was definitely the luckiest out of that. You know, out of that situation, and then the siblings, like I've touched on, like they're not the nicest people.
Yeah.
So they would play games a lot.
Little mind
Yeah,
games.
little mind games,
Wow.
and then use us kids as the pawns in that game. So
Wow.
we weren't. No, I don't believe my biological parents know love and what genuine proper love is.
Yeah.
Which is sad for them, like, you know, and
Totally.
there's no excuses, but I'm presuming their upbringing was
Yes.
less than ideal.
Yeah.
So monkey see, monkey do, but
Yeah.
I also believe you can make a change and you can
you
break that
And
cycle.
then we're not,
Yeah.
yes, this is it. And we know about breaking cycles. There's no
We do.
excuse for them.
No, there's not.
Definitely not.
You know, absolutely no excuse.
Especially when you know the difference between wrong and right.
Right.
Yeah,
that is all you
definitely.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That
you
is
know that
real
and
you
don't
need.
break the cycle, then,
Yeah.
there's
Then it's
something
on you a
wrong.
little
There's
bit.
something
You have
wrong
to take
there.
some
Yeah.
responsibility.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Every time even watching you right now talk about it, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
and I'm
The
like,
tissue, the
yeah.
box of
I was like, there's no
Yeah.
tissue boxes in here today, but it just makes me so proud of you, and it explains the woman you are today.
Yeah.
And those struggles are what?
Yeah.
Even knowing that, being able to know that, I wasn't actually, I was protected from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm also
you're still
aware
aware
of that.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
definitely.
aware
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that adds to, you know,
definitely.
the person that you are.
Yeah.
You know,
I think because I remember there was one time, like our childhood home that we lived with, our foster mum, but adoptive mum. So we lived in that home for the first 12, 13 years of my life. So that was the family home, and it was 2-story. And I remember my adoptive mum had received a letter from my biological parents saying, you can adopt the kids, like, we're done. Like, you can adopt them.
Let's do this officially.
Yeah,
Wow.
like we're done. And I remember sitting up the top of the stairs. Mum was in the middle. I was next door to her, and my other 2 siblings were there. And just the sense of relief. I was like, oh my goodness, it's over. Like I'm gonna have.
I
Like,
was
a
literally
home.
about to
Like,
ask you that. Like, how did you?
So good. Like,
yeah. It's like I don't have to deal with this.
it was the most beautiful feeling. And then a day, 2 days later, no, you can't adopt them.
Wow.
So again, it was just just
So
a game.
So your biological parents said this and then retracted.
Yeah, then retracted.
They are nasty.
Yeah,
They're
are.
nasty piece of work.
Terrible people.
They are nasty piece of work.
Yeah, they're
It's-
very nasty people. Like, and I think so. The mind games, and this was when I was probably like 6, maybe. So obviously adopted, pretty much a year later, or when I was 7. So wasn't too far off. But that was my first realization of the games. I was like, oh, okay, like this is a game. Like
you think
don't worry
is...
about my feelings, like
and
what you're doing to your children. Like you decide when you want to be at our access visits, then you decide not to be there. You just we were just used as a game, which was really sad.
Yeah.
As I got older and understood it
That's very fucked up.
Yeah, very.
You're like, you realize that what you guys are doing is like, you're looking at it and you're just being sad, but then you get older and you're looking back and be like, how do you do that?
It's so messed up. And I think, like, again, now that I'm older, and it's probably been in the last, I'd say, like 8 to 10 years, kind of understanding how my adoptive mother must have felt. Like, she's just
sitting there.
Through kids, and
crazy.
kids that aren't hers, that she wants to be hers, and she's the one that has to wipe our tears and explain to us why our parents don't want to see us and want to be in our life, and why they're playing these games. She's the one that had to wipe those tears and be there, and she never once said a bad thing about them ever. Like,
so shout out to adopted mom.
Yes,
shout
out to adopted mum. She did a great job.
She did, and she would be rewarded. The universe has her ways.
Definitely.
So I mean, obviously, talking about this now, do you feel like you have a very good bird's eye view, and I love that about you on the situation. Do you feel like adopted people or adopted kids are treated differently?
You definitely do. There's an aspect of like sympathy and sadness from people. I'll be like, I was adopted, and their first reply is, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It kind of throws me off. I'm so much more than just that.
If somebody says they're adopted, oh, I'm so sorry, is not an answer.
It's not. It's really not, because it's not a
bit of a
sad thing. Yeah, and I don't believe it's a sad thing. Like I
definitely not
have healed completely from this, and it took nearly 29 years, but we're healed.
Girl, we're still healing. We all are like, we all have our traumas, and we're here. We are thriving, and that is the biggest testament to ourselves. And then, secondly, to the people who brought us up, your adopted parents. My parents somehow, and then your parents, but like that's amazing.
And I think it's important, right? So when we first chatted about being a guest on the podcast and stuff, and I think it's come at a perfect time for you, and your healing journey it's forever, right? And it can only get better and better, and so just the awareness around the topic itself is important. So
definitely. And I think it's just important for people to be aware people are adopted. It's a part of life. It's a thing. Like, it's okay to be adopted. It's okay to struggle with your adoption if you're the child, or even the parents. Like it's okay to try work that out and figure out how to feel about it, because it's a roller coaster of emotions. And like I said, like I'm nearly 29, and it's the first time in the last 6 to 9 months where I can actually look at it and be like, it's all good now. You know, and that's coming from someone who was the lucky one out of the siblings, you know, and that still affected me so much, because, you know, when your parents aren't there for access visits and they don't want to see you, there's a lot of self-doubt that starts building as a child.
Am I not good enough?
Why am I not good enough?
Yeah,
why do they
don't
not
want to
love
see
me?
Why don't they love me? Why was I taken from them in the first place? Like all the questions.
There's so many questions, and it's so hard because my biological parents, they're very much the victim in this, like
of course they are. Because they're sitting, they have really no control, but you kind of feel like you have control because you love them and you're doing everything for them, and you're going to make sure they're going to do their homework when they come back from this visit, and all this kind of thing. So I'm doing all of the parental responsibilities, but then I'm almost constantly reminded that I'm not the parent. So it's like, okay, every now I'm having these good moments doing what I do as a parent, and then it's like, oh, actually, by the way, remember you're not, so I'm just gonna take them too. And it's almost like a shot in the face. Like,
it is. It definitely is. And I think I didn't understand a lot till I got a little bit older, and I think I was forced to probably grow up a lot quicker than what you should
average,
as a child. And as much as I was very protected and very much loved by my adoptive mother and you know, the family there, like she has her own biological daughter and also had another son that she'd already adopted before us kids were on the scene. So she had, you know, her daughter and her adopted son who has Down syndrome. So that was another kind of element
to the whole thing.
Yeah, to everything. So it was a very interesting, I guess, upbringing. And the adoptive family, very religious, so they're Jehovah's Witnesses. So that was another thing.
That's the girl. So, that's a whole.
You're right.
That's a whole nother girl.
So many additions to your plate.
Yes.
You know, I feel like that because something reminded me of what is, because you were in a closed
open
Oh,
adoption.
what is the difference? Like in all of this talking about, like, I realized that was one of the topics.
Yeah. So I suppose that open adoption is when nothing's hidden, I guess. So the child knows, both parents know, and at times mine was a little bit different. So mine was an open adoption, but from the moment I was adopted, I had nothing to do with my birth parents because I didn't want to. I definitely didn't want to. But B, we didn't need to because legally they were
your
our
new parents.
guardians. So I had, you know, my adoptive mum. But an open adoption is typically when the biological parents throughout the adopted child's upbringing will constantly kind of be involved. You know?
I never knew that was a thing. I thought it was always has to be protected. Like when you're very, like, there was a cut, because in the US, I think for most parts it's a cut. You can't.
So you're not allowed to know parents' details.
They're
not allowed to know where you've gone.
No. They're not.
Here it's a bit flexible.
That's why I was like, a little bit confused about that.
So I think it's more of a, like, for me, because we were fostered by our adoptive mother for quite some time. So obviously it was, my adoptive mother had full custody, or shared custody, I think, for a bit there, but probably had more of a percentage of that custody. Like, we lived with her, and we couldn't go back and live with our parents. Like, they, you know, had to have supervised access. Like, they were around because it wasn't a legal decision. And then the day that obviously it became official, like, that was, even to this day, I remember it like it was yesterday. The best day ever. Like, we went to the courthouse in Rotorua. All our lawyers were there, and it was Mum and her already adopted son, and then I think maybe her biological daughter was there, and then me and my two siblings. And and my birth parents didn't even show up. They
Oh, wow.
to the end. I'm like, could you at least have just like
Showed up.
No, do you know what?
Right?
I in many ways, that's do you know what? You're reaffirming. I'm glad you didn't, because
Yes.
you know that tone. I have no tone feelings
No,
now.
no,
I'm like,
no.
you're not here. Great.
Yes,
I
yeah.
am being let go. Thank you. Thank you for making
Yeah.
this easy for
Yeah.
me. Kind of
and
thing.
and they made it so easy for me.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and now that I'm
Oh.
older, it was the best thing they could have done.
Yeah.
By not
Yeah.
being there. But it was, as soon as the judge, read out the legal statement, like we all pronounce you Rosses. I was just, I cried. Everyone cried. It was so beautiful. Our lawyers were crying because it had been such a battle of years for them.
Yeah. They'd been on the journey as well.
Definitely. And they were amazing. And then, went over to the cafe across the road and had lunch and celebrated. And
I'd been
it
like,
was
were you like
great.
a bit surreal? Like, has this actually happened? Oh my God, are they gonna like turn up
It was,
now?
Yeah, it was
And,
shocking.
like-
and where are the cameras? Like
who's gonna? Is this real right
Yeah.
now? They're gonna turn up now and be like, no.
Yeah, no.
So I
it's not a joke.
have a question. So did your foster / adoptive mum did she have a husband or partner?
No. So, which is another thing that's, I suppose, crazy about my story, and especially back then, like this would have been, I was born in 96, so 98, this was kind of starting.
Yeah.
So, back in the 90s, single female.
Yeah.
They already had one biological daughter, one adoptive son already, then took on
Because I often
three
wondered
without
if
a
you had
husband.
to be like a couple.
I
To
think
No,
it would be
usually you would, but
Yes.
they would definitely favor if you were a woman.
Yes.
Really?
okay.
Versus if you're, they would not let a single
Really?
man
Yeah.
adopt.
Oh, no.
Definitely
Yeah.
not.
No, definitely not.
You know, so
I think even now, I don't know the laws and regulations around adoption now, like in present day, but I think it is probably more favoured to have that
interesting.
husband or wife or
yeah,
Yeah.
like a unit.
the
Yeah.
father-mother unit is obviously more desired.
Yeah.
But yes, that was like the other thing. Just not growing up without a dad, with a dad. Like I've never had a dad. Like, what did I
Trust me,
first
it's not
think about
all.
that?
It's cracked up to
No,
be.
I have heard that.
I can tell you that
Definitely
now.
heard that. Yeah, no, so it's yeah,
Right.
definitely.
And I'm reloading
Sip
it
that
too.
drink. But yes, I never had a dad growing up, which I suppose like a part of me always missed
Missed
that.
that?
Like I kind of always wanted to know what that would be like.
So
Yeah.
when you like made friends when you were younger and they
Yeah.
had a mum and a dad, would
Yeah.
you like be
I was
envious?
So jealous.
Yeah.
So jealous because I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Having that male role model, and because my biological father is like the worst role model possible, but
Yeah.
I didn't have that father figure.
Yeah.
I guess, and my adoptive mum's biological daughter, she had her when she was I think 16 roughly, so quite a bit older than us kids. So she got married when I think I was about 5. So her husband, my brother-in-law, became that like
The
surrogate
father
dad.
figure. Yeah.
And that's that's all you actually need.
100%.
Yeah.
That's all you need, because there are a lot of
Yeah.
families who have dads who maybe are, there's nothing wrong, but they're just not there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're playing golf.
Yes.
They're everything else. Everything else is more
Not golf.
important. Do you know? And it will shock you. It will shock you because you're seeing all these families that look like a unit,
Yeah.
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 and you're like, oh, like they have their dad
Yeah.
there, and.
Yeah. But it's not.
They're not there. So
No.
all you need, what you had, what you needed, which is love you
Yes,
had,
definitely.
and
Yeah.
everything else, like
I think it's quite common though. Like I didn't have a
Yeah,
dad. I
it's
had my
quite
my
common.
brother was my male.
no male
Yeah.
figure. Just to
Yeah.
to give you that little like reference.
Yeah.
It's definitely not, and that's something else I've kind of learned getting older, like that mum and dad unit, it's not.
It's
always
not a
what it
thing.
cracked up to me. I'm like, oh,
It's not a thing.
But no,
That's old ways thinking. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
BC times.
Yeah, definitely. It's,
Like obviously it does happen, but it's probably
Oh,
not as
yeah,
common.
not as common, and I think just because someone, your parents are married or still together, like that
Doesn't mean they're happy.
Doesn't mean
Doesn't mean that they're going to be raised good. You know.
Definitely not. I think that's a whole nother environment.
Environment.
That is,
So-
is concerning.
Totally.
I mean, this is obviously taking us on to this a lot of tangents here. Obviously, so you've been through the system, you've seen all of this.
Yes.
Do you feel like the system is built to support adoption? Is it is it support, like, even for like kids who want to, like, for example, at least you know your.
Yes.
So is there a situation where, like, maybe I didn't know who my adoptive parents are?
If it was
how is that
closed.
system? Yeah. If I wanted to go in and find out things, like, how is this the whole, like, that whole adoptive process? Because I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, no.
In New Zealand?
Neither.
Is it like the New Zealand Adoption Agency?
Or
the New Zealand Adoption
something
Unit?
like that. Like,
Something, it would be something cliche,
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah,
Very
it was-
cliche. You can already see it already.
But yeah, like, how is it? Like, is it supportive?
From
your view.
Yeah, from my view, no. But like, it's not supportive, and it isn't overly supportive. It's just, and remembering this is, you know, back in the 90s, early 2000s, so this is quite some time ago. I can't speak on what it's like now. I would like to think it's a lot more more supported and maybe spoken about differently, maybe in like a better light, and there's more education around it. But for me, I think, like, again, I was very lucky because I was adopted by very good, a good woman, and you know, had great family. Like, we had, you know, her parents, like my grandparents. We had the family there.
Unit,
Yeah, and again, being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, we had the religion there. So you know, we had all those people that understood, you know, our story and where we'd come from and all of that. So I think I found my support, and I'm, you know, presuming my adoptive mother had that support too, but from family and from friends that understood what we were doing and what we were going through. Yeah. And I think moving on in life, like when I left home, very, very fortunate to just, I don't know, you attract what you put out, I guess. So that says a lot about me, I guess, and why it turned out so good. Yeah. But very fortunate to meet really good people. Yeah. Genuinely amazing people that made me feel like I was a part of their family. Yeah. Which was amazing, and very blessed now. Like, I have a great partner that I've been with for nearly 6 years, and obviously knows the story inside and out, and has definitely seen a few tears and the roller coaster of that journey. Yeah. But very supportive by him and his family, especially his sister. Like, she's absolutely amazing. Yeah. She's like a sister to me. Like, I absolutely love her. She's great.
Let's do a quick shout out to.
Yes, quick shout out to Taylor.
Hey, Taylor, hi.
We do love Taylor. She's great. So yeah, her and her partner, they're like sisters to me. They're great. That's so good. Yeah, and I think that's been a huge help. Totally. It's more so been the people I've been so lucky to connect and meet with throughout life. Yeah. That have, you know, my friends' parents, like, I, you know, would call them mum and dad, kind of, you know, 'cause they were like mum and dad, and they treat me like a daughter, and
that's so cool.
And I was so lucky to have that support. But from a, I don't know, like a government perspective, maybe, like, I don't believe
as good.
Yeah. And I just
like most things with the fucking government.
Yeah, they're terrible.
You know, when I think about the question, I'm not like, actually, you know what? Is the adoption, what's the umbrella? Yes. Is it under the government? Then I know it's not going to be good.
No, it's
could
not
always
good.
be better.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Adoption's not spoken about. It's not something that's openly talked about. Whether like, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be adopted. It's okay to adopt a child, or, you know, it's okay. The entire situation is okay. Unfortunately, a lot of people that are adopted, it's sadly for reasons that always out of their control, but not good. You know, it's typically a very young, you know, girl has a child and isn't in a situation where she can raise that child. Like, for me and my siblings, it was a very toxic, abusive household. So that's why we were uprooted from that, and that. Still to say, the best thing that could have happened to me, because if I'd stayed in that cycle, I already know I would be a terrible person. I'd be so negative, and I'd be so much like my birth parents, and they're terrible people. They're the victims. They're negative.
You have spun me onto one of the. Just, I know we're going. You know, we have delved in, and you've really
you've
opened up for me so much that I am feeling so raw. Obviously, there are a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people who are going to adopt they have the big question of who am I adopting?
Yes.
Where is it? Where are they coming from? What am I expecting?
Yeah.
Like, and they'll fear that.
Yeah.
And just like you said, if you're still with your adopted parent, like you don't, be like them and things like that. So do you feel like in terms of adopting a kid, right? Nature versus nurture. Because I will tell you what I know about this. I think nature versus whether how you are nurtured. I feel like when you're nurtured, that trumps a lot of things. But that's just me.
Yeah.
And I am not in your situation. This is your floor.
Yes.
But no, tell me what do you feel like, because I feel like that's the only thing that ever people always think about that will make them get a little scared about. They'll be like, oh, where are they from? Who's their parents? Who's that? And if you're adopting a child, I feel like love is just the main thing.
Definitely, yeah.
What are your feelings on nature versus nurture in that?
Yeah, I definitely think nurture has a huge part to play in it. And I think that like there's two sides, because I think biologically there's characteristics, and your DNA is from your birth parents, so there's certain traits or mannerisms or whatever that will come through
no
from
matter what.
that, because that's your DNA. You can't change DNA. However, the nurture side of it is so important and the most impactful part of the entire adoption process. And I think it's probably, I've spoken to a lot of people about it, and a lot of people are kind of like, oh, it's family, like you just have to love family and you've got to accept family because it's family and it's blood. I don't agree with that.
I do not agree with that too, girl. Blood is not thicker than water, bitch.
It's definitely not. No,
I'll put some thickener in my water if that's what it needs to be.
Wow. Yeah, I don't believe blood is like
no. It's like people show you who they are.
Yes.
Because that's an excuse that is used often, and a lot of times it can be very detrimental to you. And people you carry that on so far into being hurt and stuff like that, till they realize that actually that blood is thicker than what is. This is another of those sayings. We had a little episode about sayings that do not really apply in reality, like the childhood sayings. Blood is thicker than water. Is it? Because the people who hurt you the most
that's my blood.
and destroy you are the closest people to you.
Definitely.
So you have to take things in I completely agree with that.
And I think that's when I reflect on my upbringing, I guess that's one thing I'm so grateful for is because I was adopted, my view on the people I view as family, they're not blood related to me. My family, when I talk about my family, that's not blood related at all. Those
and they're the ones that made you survive and be a positive human being.
Yeah. And I think I have my adoptive mother to thank for that. What an amazing woman to take on four adopted children that have their own baggage and their own challenges, and gosh, we put her through it.
It gives you hope in humanity that they're always like your adopted mom.
It's because
or your
of
mom,
her.
actually. Yeah. It's your mom.
It's my mum, and if someone's toxic,
they come with strings.
They're toxic. You can cut them off. I don't care who you are to me, or if you're my dad or my brother or my sister. If you're just a bad person, I don't need that in my life. I don't want that. And
I've learned. My scissors is very sharp.
Yes,
I cut off limb. Anything, I will cut it off like it meant nothing.
Yeah. No,
that's so amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time now to get to know Lisa a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got you in the hot seat, so I think it's time to test you a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I think you'd be good for a quick fire right now. So we're going into the quick fire round.
So you know how this works? Boom, boom, boom. Quick fire and ask you
Let's go.
some questions, and you just got to not think about the answer.
You have 3 seconds, max.
Oh no, you've done the time thing again. You've put the time.
1 second.
Okay,
Yeah, 3 is too long.
Oh, 1 second.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Drum roll.
All right.
Money or happiness?
Happiness.
Physical strength or mental strength?
Mental.
Oh.
She's quick for that, hey? Damn.
Date night in or date night out?
In.
Wow.
Travel to the past or travel to the future?
Oh, pass.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Actress.
That's interesting.
Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Oh, of course you would. Of course. Yes. No, because
You did so well. That's
That's amazing. Oh my God, thank you so
you.
much. I know it's so terrible we have to like wrap up, but it's been such a honestly, it's been a fucking pleasure.
Thank you.
To have you on not just a pleasure. Like I have to,
pleasure.
you know me, to be here and be vulnerable and to be so real, and talk about everything that makes Lisa tick.
Yeah.
And it makes me so excited to know that everything that you've been through is what makes you who you are.
Yes.
And that is phenomenal. You didn't have the books. You didn't have, like, I always say this to Hoana, you didn't have that picket fence, play by the book. There was no guide to how you needed to run your life. You know, you didn't have anything to emulate. And you did it on your own. You had to just play it as it goes. And that's what makes you unique. It makes you strong. It makes you special. And I'm so glad you shared that with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this topic. I think it's important to talk about it. It's a safe space, obviously, which is great.
Even though we say no one is safe.
Yeah, no one is safe.
No one is safe. But
we're actually doing a bit of reverse psychology with y'all. Like, actually, really.
But like, it really is safe. It's like, it would just make you feel unsafe enough for you to be like, actually, do you know what? Fight back. I'm safe.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's been great. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much. If for some reason you weren't able to have children of your own, would you adopt?
It's an interesting question. I get asked that a lot, and I think there's the expectation for me to say yes because I was adopted. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Personally, no. I would never adopt.
Yeah.
And that kind of shocks people a lot, and it's not being the child that was adopted and very sheltered and very loved. It still took years for me to overcome that and to be okay with my past and understand that the self-doubt that I felt and why was I not good enough, why did my parents not want me. That's taken a long time to heal and understand and get over. I would never want my child to feel how I felt, and my child, if it was adopted, would be so loved.
Again, you're going to be adopting only because you're bringing the child into a place that I want to be whole up here as well. Definitely. So I'm going to be adopting the child, and if it's going to be a trigger for me, I'm not, and that is okay.
It would just make me so sad. I look back at little Lisa and I'm like, oh, I just want to give you a hug. Like, you're all good. Like, you were so loved.
Everything will be okay.
Everything works out, and that's life. But I just couldn't look at my child and its little eyes looking back up and being like, oh, so I love you and you're my mum, but why didn't my parents want me? Why was I not good enough? Like, that could break me. Like, I just couldn't. So not for me.
Let's just say you had the option of doing like surrogacy. Like, would you look at that? Like,
surrogacy in terms of what, like
if she found out she couldn't have children, but her partner could,
I'll carry it for you.
You will. Thank you.
Yeah.
You would.
Just saying. I have a great uterus. Most people don't know this.
I think I would be open to surrogacy.
Yeah,
definitely. I think it would be still hard for me because I guess I've got this picture in my head of like, I want to do it right.
You want to do the whole thing.
Yeah, I want to feel everything, and I know with my partner, if we have children, they're going to be so loved and in a safe environment with a family around them that loves them, and I suppose. I want to feel all of that. I want to feel the kiss and
it's amazing because a lot of people take that for granted, like that.
I
took it for granted. I 100% took it for granted. Maybe because I was so young, but
And that thing is even that acceptance. It's like I have done all of this. I'm going through it, and like it's so wild because you go through giving birth to a child and then you give it away, and that whole it's just a full circle moment for you, and I can not that I know directly, but I can empathize and understand what you mean, like how you'd want to do that.
Definitely.
Which is something I've never thought about. Like, it's so wild to me.
It's wild.
I'm so proud of you.
Layers and levels, right? To
so many.
Like the adoption story in general, like of people, but then Lisa has like so many more levels. Like,
definitely. But no, I would be open to surrogacy. I think that'd be Yeah, absolutely beautiful. But yeah, obviously,
Your bag's not. I'm not fucking good up here.
I'll do it. I will do
Okay,
it.
we'll do it.
Thank you. I don't know how good my uterus is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's been battered around a little
You just
bit.
said it was a good one.
It's, you know, I'm being honest now. Now that I know
Is it good or is
now
it
that I know I really could
selling me
be.
the dream?
Now that I know I'm really in the running for it.
Wow.
You could be.
Right now,
Goodness
there's
me.
only 2 of us here.
Yeah.
So I've already bags knotted.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That made me fell back off
So
me, and
now
it
it's
became
like-
real. I was like, well, I have a
when
few.
it became
I
real.
became real. I was like, okay, here are my terms and conditions. Let's
Wow.
read it. Awesome.
But
Okay.
thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys.
Normally
you.
we dedicate an episode to somebody or we do a shout out to somebody, but today we're doing it a little bit differently, and I just want to dedicate this episode to Lisa herself because there's actually a whole lot more to her story that she hasn't shared today. Our time is precious, and look, who knows, we might get you on another day to
Yes.
part two
Part
of
two it.
Right, deuce.
Yes.
there is more, but that's the basis. Thank you so much for joining us today.
you,
We really
guys.
appreciate you joining us, hearing the story,
Yeah.
hearing about Tonye's uterus.
Yes.
And if you have
It's always
any
a vibe.
if you have any questions and stuff, please do drop it in. Like Lisa is very close to the channel, so she'll always answer any questions that you have.
Definitely.
And we would obviously try our best. And do subscribe.
Subscribe.
Tell them like where is it? It's usually down here somewhere. So just subscribe to that. And
Link down.
if you like what we do, just let us, give us your feedback.
Thank you once again, and we'll see you next time.
Next
Thank you.
deuces. Bye.